In a world of searchers, some paths lead to dark devotion. This is Of the World, Chronicles of Cults. Today, we return to Mount Carmel near Waco, Texas. It is February 28, 1993. The sun rises over the flat Texas plains, casting long shadows across a compound that has become a fortress of faith and fear. For years, this remote stretch of land has drawn those seeking answers beyond the ordinary world, a place where biblical prophecy meets modern isolation. The Branch Davidians, an offshoot of Seventh-day Adventism with roots stretching back to the 1930s, have transformed this once quiet ranch into their sanctuary. Early members arrived seeking spiritual purity and communal living, drawn by visions of the end times and a leader who claimed direct communion with God. Over decades, the group evolved through successive prophets, each interpreting scripture in ways that isolated them further from mainstream society. By the early 1990s, the compound housed dozens of families, children included, who prepared for an apocalypse they believed was imminent. Outside observers noted the growing stockpiles and closed-off lifestyle, yet inside the gates the residents viewed themselves as the chosen remnant, preserving divine truth amid a corrupt world. This morning, the tension in the air is palpable, as federal agents prepare to serve warrants that will shatter the fragile peace and ignite one of the most tragic confrontations in American history. David Koresh, born Vernon Howell, rose to lead the Branch Davidians after arriving at Mount Carmel in the 1980s and gradually consolidating power through intense Bible study sessions and claims of divine revelation. He renamed himself after the biblical King David and the Persian ruler Cyrus, positioning himself as the Lamb who would unlock the 7 seals of Revelation and guide his followers through the final judgment. Under his influence, the group embraced an apocalyptic worldview that justified extensive stockpiling of weapons, ammunition, and supplies in anticipation of government persecution foretold in prophecy. Koresh preached that the end times demanded readiness, leading to the accumulation of firearms and the construction of bunkers that turned the compound into an armed redoubt. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms grew suspicious of illegal weapon modifications and began an investigation that culminated in a large-scale raid on February 28th. As agents approached the main building, a fierce firefight erupted, killing 4 ATF members and 6 Davidians while wounding many others on both sides. The surviving agents withdrew, leaving the compound under siege as the FBI took command for what became a 51-day standoff. Negotiators engaged in tense talks while tactical teams deployed psychological operations, including bright lights at night, blaring recordings of dying animals and distorted music, and other sensory pressures designed to break the residents' resolve. On April 19th, the FBI initiated a tear gas assault using armored vehicles to breach walls and pump in CS gas, aiming to force evacuation. Instead, the compound erupted in flames that consumed the wooden structures with terrifying speed, resulting in 76 deaths, including Koresh and numerous women and children who perished amid the inferno and collapsing debris. The final hours unfold in a haze of smoke and desperation as the tear gas canisters hiss their chemical payload into every corner of the compound, stinging eyes and lungs, while armored vehicles rumble like mechanical beasts against the walls. Inside, families huddle in makeshift shelters, their prayers mixing with the shouts of leaders urging steadfast faith even as the air grows thick and unbreathable. Then comes the spark, whether from overturned lanterns or deliberate ignition, and the fire races through the dry timbers with a roar that drowns out all other sound. Flames leap from room to room, trapping the faithful in a vortex of heat and falling debris, where escape routes collapse one after another. Children cry out in the darkness, while adults shield them with their bodies, yet the inferno shows no mercy as temperatures soar beyond human endurance. Outside, law enforcement officers watch in horror as the once familiar silhouette of Mount Carmel becomes a towering pyre against the Texas sky, the screams carried on the wind fading into an eerie silence, broken only by the crackle of burning wood and the distant wail of sirens. The compound that had stood as a beacon of defiant belief crumbles into ash and twisted metal, sealing the fate of those who had chosen to remain until the very end, and marking the climax of a siege that had tested the limits of patience, ideology, and human endurance. In the smoldering aftermath, investigators sifted through the ruins for weeks, uncovering the scale of loss and sparking intense debates over tactics, responsibility, and the boundaries between religious freedom and public safety. Congressional hearings examined the ATF Raid and FBI decisions, leading to reforms in how federal agencies handle high-risk standoffs with armed groups and greater emphasis on negotiation training. The event left a lasting imprint on American culture, fueling documentaries, books, and ongoing discussions about cults, government overreach, and the psychology of charismatic leadership that draws people into isolated communities. Survivors and relatives grappled with trauma while scholars studied the Branch Davidians as a case study in apocalyptic belief systems and the dangers of escalating confrontations. Public trust in law enforcement faced scrutiny for years afterward, prompting policy shifts that prioritized de-escalation and influenced responses to later incidents involving domestic groups. This has been Off the World, Chronicles of Cults. The mind is a fragile boundary. Tread carefully.